All right, here we go. Get my Vimto. Ready to go. This episode contains strong language from the start. Hello and welcome to Life in Stereo, the show where we explore life through the music that shaped us. Each episode I sit down with our guests to talk about the albums, songs and gigs that meant the most to them. The ones that bring back memories, make us feel and even changed who we are. I'm Matthew and I'm your host, and today's guest is someone right at the start of what could be a very exciting sporting journey. Charlie Holt is a 17-year-old cyclist on the Great Britain Cycling Development Squad. Already making a name for himself on the track, he's part of a new generation of riders working their way through the elite pathway. He's already tasted success with a gold medal in the team event at the 2025 UEC Track Juniors and the Under-23 European Championships. Like many young athletes chasing big dreams, Charlie's balancing dedication, training, competition and everyday life, all while aiming for something incredibly special, one day representing Great Britain at the Olympic Games. Charlie, it's great to have you on the show. Welcome to Life in Stereo.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. The
Great.
pleasure is all mine. Charlie, how's your week been? Has it been more time on the bike or have you been trying to recover from time on the bike?
So this week, start of the week was quite recovery based. I had a camp at the weekend, so that was 3 days long of days, literally just running myself into the ground, double days. So we trained twice in the days, including like gym sessions, track sessions, static bike sessions. So yeah, this like start of the week was a lot more recovery based, and then into this week again, ramping back up into like full training.
Are you able to talk us through a typical training session that you would undertake?
Yeah, I'll give you an example in the gym first. So in the gym, we focus a lot on like your Olympic lifts. So your squats, your deadlifts, your cleans, your snatches. So everything that's just going to help you basically get strong. And then we also have like accessories. So like single arm rows, we'll do single arm bench press with dumbbells, like stuff like that. And then we at the end of every session, we have quite a lot of core on the bike. It's very important to have a strong core. It helps you stay straighter and helps you steer at the end of the day. So that's really good to have. Whereas like on the track, you probably we're looking at lot less volume and a lot more intensity on the track at the minute. So for example, my session Tuesday was 4 blocks of 4 starts on really big gears. So over geared starts are really good for helping develop torque, which is a key factor in what we do. So we put a bigger gear on, keep the shorts quite short, but really intense.
Cool. Interesting. How many times a week do you train?
Typically in a week, I'll probably do about 7 training sessions, but I'll only train 6 days. Usually I'll have my rest day on a Monday
Yeah.
and then I'll train Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
From my time doing a podcast about baseball in Britain, I often find that sport gets the, how can I put it? People tend to sacrifice a lot of stuff for their sport. Have you found that something you've had to do at such a young age in making sacrifices for things that you want to do, but the cycling has taken precedent?
100% I had to sacrifice things that I wouldn't want to sacrifice. So, for example, leading up into European and World Championships again this summer, I've missed out on like party stuff like that. But to be honest, it doesn't really bother me because I know at the end of the day what I want to achieve and I want to get myself there. And there's small things that I'll have to sacrifice for it now. Will be repaid later on in life.
And what a great attitude to have. That's brilliant. Nice one. So for people that don't know you yet, how would you describe yourself away from cycling?
To be honest, just your typical 17-year-old lad. College, I currently do like an online college. So I'm going to college, 2 days, 3 days a week. I'll go out with my friends each week. And then in between all of that, I've got training. But away from the bike, I basically think of myself as just your normal 17-year-old lad, just cracking on with life, really.
When you're not training or racing, what does a normal day look like for you then? Is it more college focused or with that being your day off, or do you do your college at the same time as your training?
Typically, obviously, my day off's on a Monday. So Monday is my big college day where I'll probably do about 9 till about 2:30 or 3. But then after like that 3 o'clock mark, I'll probably look to go out with my friends, do something, and just due to like throughout the week having training, I try to, see my friends earlier on in the week and maybe at weekends rather than in the middle of the week when I've not got time.
What do your non-cycling friends think about your bid for Olympic glory?
I think a lot of them are really supportive. They understand why I sacrifice what I sacrifice. Some of them obviously are like, oh, just come out for this. We can do this. And I'm just like, it's just not worth it, really, for me. It's not that I don't want to spend time with you. It's just that there's no point. So, for example, if they went, oh, let's go and play football, I've got a race at the weekend. I'm not going to go and waste energy to go to that race. So I just sit it out. But then a lot of them, yeah, are really supportive through like things I've been through. They've been there for me. And I'm really appreciative of that.
That's great that you've got such a supportive group of friends. So let's talk about your early cycling then. When did cycling first become something more than just riding a bike for fun?
Probably be about 4 or 5 years ago. Originally, I didn't start in the track sprint like category. I started as a track endurance and a road rider, basically day and night difference now. I think the best way to put it is an endurance rider. You can just go out on your bike and enjoy yourself. So there was a lot of enjoying myself like at a young age, probably about 14. And then as soon as essentially it was probably now about 3 years ago, probably right now, exactly 3 years ago. I was at the track and there was a coach that basically said he thought I had massive potential in the sprinting. So he said he'd asked me if he would mind me committing to racing the national championships at the end of, I think it was July. So I was like, yeah, do you know what? Yeah, we'll give it a go. And essentially, I got to that national championships as a first year. So in cycling, you can have 2 years in a category. So you have in under 16, you can be 14 and 15, and then you move up to under 18s. So as a first year, I come sixth. I think the only people in front of me were kids that were already on that GB program and another one of my teammates today. So it basically opened my eyes up to how good I was at this certain thing. And then from there, I've been on the GB program and just stuck at it.
That's really interesting. So how did you go from what was it that tempted you into competitive riding to start with, from like just cycling to school on your bike and then thinking, "Do you know what, I wonder if I could take this further." Was it just that sort of mindset, or did you right up from the off know that you wanted to take this passion of riding as far as you could go?
I think my dad, it was literally a random day. He took us all down to the velodrome, me and my two brothers. We all rode on it and we all really enjoyed it. So from there, we joined a club in Manchester. And then basically, when you're in that club, you go through a Saturday session, which is like your beginner session, into your advanced session on a Wednesday night, which is basically for riders that want to race. So we got to that Wednesday and we were all just a bit like, oh, well, we might as well go and give some racing a go. And then it's kind of just stuck from there, really.
Interesting, nice one. Let's talk about you being a young athlete. What's the biggest thing people your age might not realize about being part of a national development squad?
Probably how cutthroat it is and how much effort goes into it. Like, there's a lot more than just training that goes into my life. For example, I've got to fill in a training diary every week. I've got to give my coach metrics every morning. So, like my resting heart rate, body weight, stuff like that. There's meetings behind the scenes with like nutritionists, psychology support. So, there's quite a lot that goes into it that takes a lot of my time up. And then I think, yeah, how cutthroat it is. Literally, if you're not performing, you're gone, and that's how it is.
Wow. So like no second chances, or is it just like back to the start and then trying to prove yourself again?
You probably have to do something pretty big to get back on.
And so we don't slip down that slope.
Let's hope not.
Winning gold at European Championships must have been an incredible moment. When did it actually sink in that you'd won gold?
Probably the moment that essentially in the team sprint, I rode the qualifying round with two of the other lads. Big story now. So the day before that, in practice, I actually crashed pretty hard at about 70 kilometers an hour, which is probably equivalent to about 50 mile an hour. Took a big beating. So basically, we knew from the next day, like I was going in for qualifying, and that would probably be it. So I went in. To be honest, it didn't go to plan completely how I wanted it to, but I managed to put the team into a good enough position to qualify. And then the lads brought it home really well, broke the national record. So like stood on that podium, I think was probably the first moment when it sank in when, we got handed the jerseys, our medals, and we just like, yeah, we're champions of Europe now.
That's incredible. I'd like to know, how do you mentally overcome a crash like that, a bad crash? Because I think a lot of us that listen that have ever ridden a bike will, no doubt, at some point in their life, come off that bike and suffered like gravel in their knees, that sort of thing. We all know that falling off a bike hurts. Going at that speed and having that sort of crash, how do you get over it in your head? Like, how do you get rid of those doubts and set yourself up?
So that's something I've actually worked on now with my psychology support because I don't think I handle it the best at the European champs. So when I've hit the deck, I definitely hit my head pretty hard. It luckily didn't have a concussion or got grazes down my sides for like track burn off the wood, splinters in my back. Then you start doubting yourself. You're going, oh, I'm like battered now. Is this going to be good? So I think the way we look at it now is on that day before, what did I do different to other training sessions that made me crash? And we've looked at it. There is a certain thing that I think I did that made me crash. So now it's just trying to look at that pre-comp track session. Do not do this, even if it includes going slightly less hard and you're just technically doing everything perfectly. That's better than crashing.
Yeah. So when you stood on that podium, what was going through your mind?
Stood on the podium, I was thinking about how hard I've actually worked that year. A lot of people didn't see it, the hours that went into it behind the scenes. As a first year, you're not ever guaranteed, even as a second year, you're not guaranteed to go to those European and World Championships. So even getting there myself at such a young age was an achievement. There was a lot of sense of pride of even just being there to even just take that gold medal was, yeah, unreal.
That's interesting. And I think you mentioned something there that's true for a lot of athletes. No one ever sees the journey or the sacrifices that are made to get to. You always see like the end result. With the Winter Olympics that's just been on, you see all these people performing at the best of their abilities, but no one's ever seen the 4 o'clock in the morning starts, the double training days, like you said, and the late nights and all the testing that you said. No one ever sees that. So it's great that you give us a peek behind the curtain for yourself. You should be proud of what you achieved because it's a fantastic thing that you've done, and you've shown that the hard work really does pay off.
Thank you.
Are you someone who enjoys the pressure of competition, or do you try not to think about it that much?
Really weirdly, quite like different to a lot of people. I need the pressure there to perform, I believe. I love the pressure, to be fair. I think if I've got the pressure on me from myself, from other people, I tend to do pretty well.
What motivates you the most when training gets tough?
To be honest, I don't think there's much motivation. I think it is literally just discipline. I train whether I'm motivated or not. Like
Yeah.
motivation does help. Say if like I've got a really heavy gym session to do and then I'm at track the next day and I'm doing a late gym session, early track session in the morning, there's not going to be much motivation there for me to go and do it. But I'll go and do it anyway, just because that's what I'm taught to do.
So you know that the end game is sort of the motivation, I suppose.
Yeah.
Every young athlete has that moment when they start to dream big. When did the Olympic dream first enter your mind?
I think as soon as I stepped onto like the GB program as what we call NSR Foundation Rider, which was now probably about 3 years ago,
Mm.
I think as soon as you probably hit the GB program, you probably go, there's a decent chance here, like something good could happen. So I think, yeah, probably about 3 years ago now for me, I've started to go, what if I can actually make it to an Olympics?
Through everything that you've achieved already, what's the one thing that cycling's taught you about yourself?
I think cycling's taught me a lot about myself, but I think probably the main thing is probably how resilient I am, the drive I've got to do well at whatever I do. Even if for whatever reason this doesn't work, I know whatever I do, I will more than likely be successful in because I'm driven, I'm focused, and I'm resilient. So all those setbacks that are put towards me, I'll just put them aside and I'll keep going for what I want.
That's been what a great mindset to have, especially with that approach to later life. Excellent. Right, Charlie, let's have a chat about you and your life in music. What is the first album that you remember owning?
Obviously, as a child growing up in like it'll be like 2010s, a lot of music become digital. So I've never actually owned like a CD, a vinyl, anything like that. I've never owned anything, but probably one of like the earlier albums I've listened to is Royal Blood's earlier albums. Would have been called How Did We Get So Dark?
What do you remember about that album?
I remember listening to that album as a kid, did really enjoy it. So then went and spoke to my dad, and that was actually the first concert I ever went to was a Royal Blood concert
All
with
right.
my dad. After listening to that album, yeah, like on the release, I just said to my dad, would you mind coming to watch this with me? He was like, yeah, so it took me.
Well, a lovely story. Your dad's not that bad, is he? He's all
Not
right.
bad at all. He's a good lad.
See, what you did there, Charlie, is you did me a favor. You killed two questions with one answer. Nicely done.
Ooh.
It's almost as if you had the questions in advance. So smooth. Is there ever been a song that's made you cry?
So there actually hasn't been a song that's ever made me cry, but I think there's like probably two or three songs that make me like emotional. The two songs that have made me the most emotional are probably Look After You by the Fray and Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls.
How everyone loves Iris. What is it about those two songs then that tend to get to you?
I think they're just strongly lyrical songs, and I think like there's big beat drops in them. The words mean a lot, and I think for me, like songs that tell a story are the ones that I really enjoy.
Are there any hidden gem albums that you listen to?
There is one album that comes to mind. I think a lot of people do get it, but maybe not to the depths that I believe I get it. It's quite a recent album actually by Santan Dave called The Boy Who Played the Harp. I think there's definitely a lot to dive into in his songs. I think again, very well written. And yeah, he's probably one of my top artists at the minute.
What is it about them that you enjoy?
I think just the way he can tell a story, it is pretty unreal to be fair. I like how good he is at storytelling.
Is there a turning point album that's tied to like a personal memory or a life shift? Or even a song doesn't have
So
to be an album, it can be a song as well.
I think there probably is an album for this one, which was probably like the album I listened to probably most of my time last summer. So like during the European and World Championships period. So it's tied to like a really high point of my life, which would probably be 2014 Forest Hills Drive by J. Cole.
What sort of music do you listen to when you train, or do you not like to have music on and just like to train in silence?
So I think it differs. So on the track, usually we'll probably have somebody on a speaker. It's probably a lot of the music everybody knows, your well-known rap songs from artists such as Drake, Dave, your well-known artists. But I think if we're like doing hit outs and stuff like that, everyone reverts to headphones, and I'm raised there, we all revert to headphones. So like if I'm listening to songs to warm up and get myself in the correct mind space, it's gonna be rap that tells stories again. So like a big one for me is Dave that I listen to whilst I'm warming up. J. Cole again. I listen to him when I'm warming up. And then like closer to the time, it's a bit weird. It gets like the music becomes more aggressive because I want to put myself in the best mind spot ever. But
Yeah.
to race from artists such as 50 Cent, Eminem, so it almost becomes a bit more old school.
Yeah, I know what you mean there by amping it up. So some good answers. Charlie, what do you think is the most played album of your life? And is it music that you've picked yourself, or has it been stuff on repeat from when you're like a kid that you've kind of had to put up with because of your parents?
I think, to be honest, probably one of the most played albums of my life would probably be What's the Story? Morning Glory by Oasis. Partly I would have heard it from my dad, but then again, I listen to it myself all the time. I think amazing, amazing album.
What's the best live gig you've ever seen?
I'm going to give you two for different reasons.
Go
So
on.
I went to see a gig at Co-op Live probably about a year ago now for an artist called Don Toliver. I think
I
that
couldn't
was
find that, but here are other songs by Don Toliver and similar artists on Amazon Music.
Echo. Stop.
That's staying in. Brilliant.
And I think that was for like the atmosphere. It was mental,
Yeah.
absolutely mental to the point where I went with one of my mates and he lost his phone. It was that good. Another one that I went to. This was at Academy 3 in Manchester for an artist called Nuts, which I think was probably the best music I've listened to. I've listened to him like warming up at track sessions, stuff like that. And I, again, just appreciate his music. So it's really cool to see him live.
I've been to both venues and I appreciate them both. Which was your favourite venue to listen to live music in? The smaller, more intimate venue of the Academy 3 or the more impressively massive arena of the Co-op Live?
Think Co-op Live has to take it. I just think sound quality at Co-op Live, everything's good. And I think the atmosphere, I think if I could have saw Nux at Co-op Live with the
I'm not
same
quite
crowd,
sure how to
oh my
help you
God.
here.
With the same crowd I had at Dance Oliver, I think that would have been the best gig of my life, no doubt.
Yeah, interesting. I think the older that I've got, the more I prefer the intimate gigs. I was actually looking back
Yeah,
at some of the venues that are no longer around in Manchester and some of the artists that I actually missed that I could have seen. Like there's a place called Roadhouse in Manchester. A couple hundred people you could get in there. You had people like Blink 182 they're in there. Yeah, never got a chance to see him in such a small, tiny space. And I just thought that would have been amazing on a shit sound system, and just
yeah,
something about that
proper raw.
that kind of miss. But we've been to the big venues and arenas, like listening to Papa Roach in Liverpool last year,
Yeah,
and that was absolutely breathtaking. And just all the space in between. I think you've it's kind of hard to find a favorite, but I think now I do prefer smaller, more intimate venues. I would have loved to have seen the Foo Fighters in Manchester the other week when they played at the Ritz, like 1,000 people there. Because I've seen them
yeah, yeah,
in like at Lancashire County Cricket Club and in
yeah.
stadiums, and it's been awesome. But I do miss seeing them on like in a smaller, more
A
enclosed venue.
smaller scale.
Is an artist or a record that you think has helped shape who you are with like your values or your style or your worldviews or social circles?
I'd probably say the artist that's probably had the biggest impact on my life would be J. Cole, but I don't think like again that album shaped my life. I think a lot of what I do shapes my life. So spending time with my friends, training, family, just I think that shapes my life. But I think if there was an artist I've listened to and I've like almost not just agreed to his music, but I live it now, would probably be J. Cole.
That's a cracking answer, that dude. Sorry, so it's a mixtape. It's a Spotify playlist. A
Okay.
mixtape is where back in the day, your dad and your mum will be able to tell you more about this. You compile music and you record it onto your cassette and then you give it to somebody. If you were to make your own mixtape for somebody special, what would be the first track that goes on there? And usually the first track is the one that grabs their attention or gets them hooked in. The track one is the one that means the most.
First of all, I'd make the playlist probably. I'm gonna go for my dad. No offense, mum, if you're watching, but just because I think I know my dad's music taste better than my mum's. And I think the song I'd put first would be Love Yours by J. Cole. That song for me is probably one of the best songs I probably live my life by now. The song's about, there's always like gonna be somebody with something that's better than what you've got, but you've just got to appreciate what you've got and love it.
Nice, nicely done. Right, the next question is fantasy band, hip hop crew, or DJ lineup. Who would you pick to play at Holt Fest at the Velodrome?
If I had to choose somebody, well, first of all, opening act, right? We've had Matt Mutton and Mike Holt come back to DJing World,
Muja
be the
DJs,
opening
let's go.
acts. And then if I could have a band to come and play there, I think it'd have to be Oasis for me.
Yeah. Or
I
if
think
you
they're
want to
pretty
carry on
hard.
filling out your fantasy gig, having Oasis as the headliners, who else would be on there to support?
If I had like a festival, we'll go. So yeah, you, my dad, we'd have Oasis there. I think I'd have to have J. Cole there. The Foo Fighters, I'd have them there. Very good band. I know you like that.
They're all right.
Um, and if we go like two more, well, I'd probably want Brian Adams. I think he's
Oh,
a really good singer. Yeah, so
interesting.
completely different. I think some of his music's really good. One thing I'm gutted I'm not seeing this summer. I'd love to have Fontaine's DC there.
There you go. What an eclectic mix of music. That'd be interesting. I'd go. Well, I'm already
It
there.
is.
I'm warming up for everybody. Cheers, Chuck. So,
No, it's mate.
Charlie, is there a song that teleports you back to a time or a place that makes you smile?
There is one song. Right. I'm going to set the scene.
Go on.
We've just finished the summer of our lives at the European and the World Championships. We're riding back to the hotel and we've got a speaker with us and we put it straight on. The song was Let It All Work Out by Lil Wayne. Very random, but it does make me smile.
Who put that on?
It would more likely be Yoan if he's watching. He probably will be.
What would you have played?
To be honest, probably the same. That song got absolutely rinsed over those last few months.
Fair enough. So, Charlie, if you were to recommend an album for us all to listen to tonight, what album are you picking for us to feast on?
I think if we were all listening to an album tonight, it'd be 2014 Forest Hills Drive. Probably my favorite album to ever come out.
What is it about that album that you love so much?
In an album, usually there's songs that like you say, oh, these are definitely the songs of the album. I think in that album, there's not many songs you can't say are song of the album. I think all the songs are like bang on.
Mm,
So
interesting.
very, very, very good album.
Lovely. Right, give that a try. We're into the quick fire round now, Charlie. Pew pew. Here's one for you. Do you have walk-up music or entrance music when you're cycling?
No, no, we did not.
Right, brilliant. That makes this a lot easier then. So if you were a boxer or a wrestler or a baseball player and you had entrance music or walk-up music, what would you pick?
There's two ones for me for this. One's by 50 Cent, which would be I'll Whip Your Head Boy. I think that song for me, it'd get not just me going, it'd get a crowd going and it'll install a little bit of fear in my opponent. And then again, this was actually in the same fight that we watched. It was a Conor Benn and Chris Eubank fight. Ready or Not, I think that's another really good song
By the
for like a
Fugees.
walkout. I think it is, yeah.
Mm. Fair enough. I was
I
listening
think
to Fugees The Score today. Banging album.
there we go.
Yeah, man. That's it. That's a corker. That's an absolute class. On to the next one. What's your favorite cover song?
I don't really listen to cover songs. And I think if I'd have to choose one that I'd probably listen to the
I'm not
most,
quite sure how to help you with that.
this echo needs to shut up. I think it'd be Godspeed, which was covered by Stormzy. I think that I've never heard Stormzy sing, but the way he sung it was, do you know what, pretty beautiful.
Yeah. What's the last gig that you went to?
The last gig I went to would have been nuts, but next Monday I'm going to see Dave at Co-op,
Nice.
which I think probably will be the best gig I've seen yet.
Yeah, so let me know how that one goes.
Crossed.
Yeah, man.
I will.
So you're DJing at a house party, or you just someone's just give you the control to the playlist. What's the first song that you're gonna play?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm going to go with Like Glue by Sean Paul. A lot of the people I hang around with know that song. A lot of them love it. So I think if I'm in there, I put that song on. I love it. Everyone will love it. It'll be perfect.
Yeah, get on the floor. All right, do you have a guilty pleasure track that you secretly love that people are gonna think, oh, you never listened to that?
Not really. No, I don't think. I think all the music I listen to, you'd probably expect a 17-year-old kid to listen to. Again, obviously, there is like older artists I'd listen to, such as Brian Adams. I do like majorly listen to him, but when I've listened to his music, I've really appreciated it. So I think if there was one song that people would go, oh, you don't listen to that, I'd say I'd listen to it. Probably be Heaven by Brian Adams. I think that is what has possibility to be one of the best songs ever made.
Wow, I didn't think that was gonna come out of your track, but there you go. Lovely stuff. Charlie, this is the end of the chat. That's flown
It has,
between me, you, and the Amazon Echo that have been chatting away.
yeah. Thanks for your input.
I was kind of expected to start dropping tracks in as we were talking. That'd have been a nightmare to edit, but loads
Bit
of
of
fun.
background music.
Yeah. So what's coming up for you, Charlie? What races and events have you got on the go?
So I think 2 weeks time now I'm in London for a UCI race, which I believe France and Germany are coming over for. Big aim for me at that one is to like I want to achieve podiums in both events, and then after that it's basically all eyes set on European and World Champs. there will be like little races in this country that I will go to, but they won't mean major things. So it's like, yeah, all eyes on for the major champs at the end of the year.
Cool. Where can people follow your journey and send you some support?
I think the best place to probably follow me would be Instagram.
Hmm.
Um, if we're getting this clipped up on Instagram, I'll drop a comment on it, link in my Instagram. So yeah, that'd probably be the best place.
Sweet, dude. If we're going to have this conversation again in 10 years' time, what do you hope we'd be talking about?
Well, probably music again, but before that, we'd probably, hopefully, in 10 years' time, we'd be talking about what I've achieved. So hopefully, like multiple world titles, been to an Olympic Games, that'd be the dream.
So, mate, we're all behind you on this one. I think there's a lot of love and a lot of support from those that know you, and for hopefully we'll get you a new audience, a new fan base now. But all the best, mate. Really, we really do wish you all the best because you know how hard you've worked for it, and the harder work is to come. And I think you've got the right mindset and the right attitude. It's yours for the taking. So, final question for me. If you could preserve one song in a time capsule jukebox for the future, what would it be and why?
One song. So this would be like a song that would be locked away for the
Mm.
future.
Hmm.
I think for me, that song would probably have to be Love Yours by J. Cole. I think the way that song's shaped who I am today or helped to shape who I am today, I hope it could do the same to other people.
Brilliant. And that's it for today's episode of Life in Stereo. Huge thanks again to Charlie Holt. Remember the name for sharing the soundtrack to his life so far. I loved hearing about the training that you go through and the hard work that you're putting into your life. I mean, I think I've got a busy week, but crikey, mate, you really you put a lot of us to shame with what you're doing. If you've enjoyed this conversation, please follow and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. And why not share this with someone who loves music just as much as you do? You can reach me on Facebook by searching for Life in Stereo Podcast. Just look for that chimp in the headphones. That's it. Thanks for listening. And until next time, keep spinning those records that make your life sing.